Okay, so the first skill from this week was plotting quadratic functions. So it's pretty simple. Let's take a look at this table here that they have for us. All right, so now I can write on this a little bit. So let's look at the first one. They say x is -3. So the first thing we have to do in this column, with the little line there, is just do if x, we take x to the power of 2. So -3 times -3 would be 9. So put a 9 right there. All right, and now we have to actually take that value 9 and multiply it by this 1/4. So, or sorry, -1/4. -1/4 times 9, and we'll just do 9 over 1. That's going to be -9/4. So put -9/4 there. Now I'll type this. We have 9, and then -9/4. I'll hit try. Okay, and we're right. Now we'll go to the, we'll do the rest of them on paper. And I know this isn't really paper, but we have -2 to the power of 2. That would be 4. And now on here we'll have -1/4 times 4 over 1. And that'll be -4 over 4. And -4 over 4 is just -1. I'll put a -1 there. And then we have -1 squared. Well, -1 times -1 is 1. And we have -1/4 times 1 over 1. And that's just going to be -1/4. -1/4. Okay. Now, it gets kind of cool because obviously 0 to the second power would be 0. And then anything times 0 is obviously going to be 0. So we have just 0, 0 then. But now it gets kind of cool because, look, this will be 1, right? Which means it'll be the same solution as this one right here, right? So I don't even have to do the work. I already know that 1 squared is 1, so that solution is going to be 1/4. Okay. So those are like partners. Those are mirror images of each other. The next one, well, that's a 4. Well, we've already had 4, and the solution was -1. Again, I don't have to go and do the solution again. I can just write that because those mirror each other. That's what's cool about these quadratic equations. And then the last one, 3 squared, well, that'll be 9. Well, we've already seen that. Oops, didn't want that to be purple. Hold on. Wanted it to be blue. So now we've got this, right? That's going to look a lot like that. So x squared is 9. 3 squared is 9. And we know once x squared is 9, then we know that this one would be -9/4. Now we get to the fun part. Now we can actually graph. So the first one will be -3 and -9/4, which is also -2.25. So my first point I'm going to make here at -3 and bring that down to -2.25 right there. -2, that'll go down to -1. -1, that will go to -1/4, which is also -0.025. Then we have the vertex there, 0, and then we are just going to graph these last points right there. I'm going to try. It should be symmetrical. Looks pretty symmetrical to me. There's the graph. Nice. Okay, now we need the domain and range. Well, the domain is how far does it go on the x-axis. And you can see with these arrows, it's going to continue to infinity on both sides. So the domain for this is going to be -infinity. Or I could just do this. I could just put all real numbers too. Now the range is different because the range covers how far does it go on the y-axis, and you can see it peaks here at 0. It's not going to go any higher. So it starts at -infinity. It's going to go down on the y-axis forever. So that one we're going to have a, whoops, it's on my domain still. Here we'll have a -infinity. Whoops. Sometimes we'll do that. And that's going to go all the way, and it includes, so we're going to need a hard bracket there. It does include 0. It does, 0 is included there. So that's going to be our domain because it goes forever on the x-axis. And for the y-axis, it goes to -infinity. It comes all the way up to 0. It doesn't go any further than 0. So that's how we do the domain and range here. And once again, we could have just done negative infinity to positive infinity for the domain. That would have also been acceptable. Okay, let's do one more together here. And if you're feeling confident and you want to pause me and do this, you can totally do that. But I'm going to start again here. We got negative 3. So x is negative 3, and what is x squared? Well, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. All right, so then we've got 9 minus 1, so that's clearly 8. Negative 2. When negative 2 is squared, you get 4. Positive 4, because a negative times a negative is always a positive. 4 minus 1 is 3. Negative 1. Well, negative 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. 0. Well, 0 squared is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And now we get back to that thing where, hey, this is 1 again, and we've already seen what happens when x is 1. Right? We see it right there. So I'm also going to see it there. And I know that it's 1, so I know that this is 0. I know that this is 4, so I know that this is 3. And I know that this is 9, so I know that this is 8. Okay, now I've got that done. So really, you're just figuring out 4 of them, and the other ones, you're just recognizing that you've already done that problem. All right, now that I've done that, now it's time to plot my points. Negative 3. At negative 8, negative 2, y is 3. At x equals negative 1, y is 0. At x equals 0, y is negative 1. And then now I can just reflect. And I'm going to have my graph here. It's going to make that for me. Looks awesome. And then domain and the range. So domain, remember, is where this goes on the x-axis. And it's going to go to infinity along the horizontal axis. These arrows mean it's going to keep going up. It's going to take a while to get to 1,000, 1 million, but it will eventually stretch out into infinity. So the domain, again, all real numbers. Or last time I did all real numbers, this time I just have a liking of the infinity symbol, so I tend to use this a lot. But you could just use all real numbers, same thing. Now range. This time the range stretches to infinity on the positive axis. So our range is going to be a little bit different. Now it starts at negative 1, and it includes negative 1. So we do need a hard bracket there. Oops, there it is. So that's going to be negative 1, and then it stretches to infinity. So I'm going to put the infinity symbol, and we always put the infinity symbol, we always surround that with parentheses. We never put the hard bracket because infinity cannot be contained. So I have this here. I'm going to submit my answer, and we are set.